When temperatures dropped below freezing, when frostbite claimed fingers before dawn and engines locked solid under ice, Cold War soldiers in the Arctic, Siberia and Eastern Europe had to survive without modern heaters. Power lines snapped, fuel froze, and batteries died. Yet patrols, guards and reconnaissance units stayed alive through the kind of cold that could kill in minutes. How? Not with fancy equipment or bulky stoves, but with a small, ingenious method developed in the 1950s that turned ordinary field materials into steady, body-warming heat. It's one of those forgotten survival tactics that was once classified, field-tested by soldiers on both sides of the Iron Curtain, and still works just as well today. Stay with me, because by the end you'll know exactly how they did it, and how you can too, using nothing but a few simple items you probably already have. The Cold War forced innovation in the fight against freezing. During the early years of the Cold War, thousands of troops were stationed in climates most of us couldn't last a night in, places like Siberia, Greenland and northern Alaska. Traditional heating methods failed because of one simple fact. They relied on liquid fuel. Gasoline, kerosene and diesel would either gel or refuse to vaporize once temperatures dropped below -30 degrees Celsius. Metal heaters cracked under thermal stress, and open flames risked detection from the enemy's aerial reconnaissance. So military engineers began searching for a silent heat source, something that could generate warmth without smoke, noise, or visible flame. The breakthrough came with what soldiers came to call the Cold War field warmer, a compact, chemical-based heating system that used the power of oxidation, the same process behind slow-burning charcoal, but optimized for extreme cold. Instead of relying on fire, it generated heat from a controlled chemical reaction between metal powders and air. Small, portable and easy to conceal, this invention became a lifeline during Arctic deployments. The secret lay in oxidation-based heat packs that never froze. The core of the technique relied on iron oxidation, a slow, heat-producing reaction between iron, salt and oxygen. It's the same principle that powers modern disposable hand warmers, but the Cold War versions were far more rugged and designed to last longer. Soviet soldiers were issued small pouches filled with fine iron filings mixed with carbon and activated salt crystals. When exposed to moisture, usually just the soldier's own breath or a few drops of water, the iron began oxidizing, releasing a steady flow of heat for hours without any flame at all. American field engineers developed a similar version using calcium chloride and magnesium powder, sometimes packed into thin tins or bandages. The trick was in controlling airflow. Too much oxygen, and it burned out fast. Too little, and it barely warmed. The soldiers learned to seal or open vent holes using bits of tape, controlling how much air entered to regulate temperature. These packs could be placed inside boots, gloves, or under clothing layers, generating warmth silently and safely. Some versions even doubled as ration heaters. A few tablespoons of water poured onto the sealed packet could raise the temperature inside a tin can of food, high enough to melt frozen stew in under 5 minutes. No matches, no fuel, just chemistry and field ingenuity. How you can apply this Cold War technique today. For modern survivalists, preppers or outdoor historians, this old method remains one of the simplest and most effective ways to stay warm without electricity or gas. To replicate it, you can create your own chemical heat source using materials easily found in hardware stores. Start with a metal container, such as a small tin or steel cup. Fill it halfway with fine iron filings. You can find these from metal shavings or iron powder used in science kits. Add a pinch of table salt to act as an electrolyte and a small piece of activated charcoal to help distribute heat evenly. Moisten a cotton pad with a few drops of water and place it over the mixture before sealing the lid loosely to allow minimal airflow. Within minutes, the oxidation reaction will begin, and the container will radiate steady warmth for an hour or more. In field settings, soldiers improvised the same concept by using crushed steel wool instead of iron powder, dampened slightly and sealed inside canvas pouches. They tucked these pouches between inner and outer clothing layers to warm their core and prevent hypothermia during long reconnaissance or guard shifts. You can test this principle safely at home. Take a wad of steel wool and pour a teaspoon of salt water on it. The slow reaction will generate noticeable warmth within minutes, proof of the same chemistry that kept Cold War troops alive. This trick wasn't just a comfort, it was survival doctrine. Soviet border guards on the Finnish front and US radar operators in Greenland learned that keeping extremities warm was the difference between mission success and frostbite evacuation. Because these chemical warmers produce no visible flame, they could be used inside tents or bunkers without giving away positions. Soldiers often packed several pouches, activating them in shifts to maintain warmth through the night. In declassified NATO manuals from the 1960s, soldiers were instructed on emergency improvisations if issued warmers ran out. One common version used magnesium powder from dismantled flares mixed with snow and fabric scraps to generate radiant heat. Another involved sealing quicklime, calcium oxide, in tin cans with wet cloth. The exothermic reaction could reach 150 degrees Fahrenheit or 65 degrees Celsius in under a minute. Hot enough to thaw weapons and prevent freezing of gun lubricants. For anyone serious about survival or fieldcraft, the Cold War warmer demonstrates that heat doesn't have to come from fire. When modern gear fails, when lighters crack, batteries die, and propane tanks freeze, understanding chemical heat becomes the ultimate backup. The same principles can be applied in outdoor camping, winter hiking, or off-grid living. Compact, flameless heat sources made from simple compounds can keep your gear dry, prevent frostbite, and even warm food discreetly in emergencies. It's also a valuable reminder of the creativity born from necessity. These soldiers weren't relying on luxury equipment. They were applying chemistry, observation, and discipline. And that mindset, more than the materials themselves, is what defines true preparedness. The knowledge of survival should never be forgotten. The Cold War gave rise to many technologies we still use today, but few are as practical and timeless as this one. A small pouch of metal and salt, quietly heating in the snow, represents something bigger: human ingenuity under pressure. For history enthusiasts, it's a window into how ordinary soldiers turned science into survival. For survivalists, it's a tool that still works when modern convenience fails. If you value lessons like these, forgotten survival methods, real historical fieldcraft, and the stories behind them, then make sure you subscribe to In the Beginning, share this video, and help keep these lost skills alive. Because the best survival knowledge isn't new, it's rediscovered.